We reported earlier that 11 Secret Service agents are on leave accused of hiring prostitutes in Colombia while preparing for a presidential visit. Author David Baldacci has written a string of bestsellers about government intrigue. His new book is The Innocent. 16 years ago, his very first novel, Absolute Power, told the story of a Secret Service cover-up. David Baldacci is here in Studio 57. We've been talking about David Baldacci, and all kinds of phonetics to remember.
Charlie, I think, David, this is what I think. You should just change your name. Because
to
I go
Rose
to
or
Baldacci.
King.
Yes,
Right,
Rose
right.
or King.
Hey, what's wrong with Hill?
Yeah,
I'm surrounded by really great names.
Okay,
glad you're
okay,
here.
Baldacci.
We're glad you're
You
here.
said to Miss King
Yes.
that you knew a lot of Secret Service people and that you are, in fact, sad about this. Tell me how this could have happened. Give us a sense of
Well, they have a high degree of professionalism.
knowing what their obligations are.
Yeah, the advance team usually goes in, obviously, to set up the groundwork for the president as personal protection detail. And that area is sort of known for that sort of business, and it never should have happened. Certainly, supervisors should have taken care of that, and it never even got near the agents. But it was just a total mess up, and it's going to affect the service for a long time.
In what way?
Well, they're going to have to retrain their people totally. They're going to have greater restrictions. People will be under heightened scrutiny, and the big thing is people they're supposed to protect are going to lose confidence in them. That's the biggest thing.
Well, I think, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Gayle.
No.
Okay. There's a concern over how widespread this may be. Congressman Issa was with us earlier this morning saying he thinks that there's more of a history here. One former director of the Secret Service says, I really don't think that's the case. You know a lot of people within these worlds. What do you think?
Well, as a former lawyer, I like to let the investigation do its job. If the facts prove out the allegations, I think that the repercussions will be considerable and they'll be swift. And it might be that a culture is developed there that is a pretty negative one, and they're going to have to take care of that. This might be a blessing in disguise to turn it around now.
That's what I was thinking. You said it might be a culture because it does sound like it was more than a couple. And I'm thinking for it to be that big means somewhere along the line, a lot of people must have known about it. That's what I find, based on the initial report, so troubling. But I thought about you and thought, is this giving you material for a book?
Yeah, that's why I like to stick to fiction.
Yeah.
I don't like to rip stories from the headlines.
No.
I like to sort of blend my own stories together. Some of these facts might end up in a book later on down the road, but people are people. And that's what, in my books, I like to deal with the foibles and the flaws that people have. That's what I think readers find interesting.
Here you are, a trial lawyer, former trial lawyer. John Grisham was just here, former trial lawyer. Both of you are storytellers. I mean, what's the transition? What happened to make you think you could write best-selling novels?
Some of the best fiction I ever wrote when I was a lawyer. I was paid to be a storyteller as a lawyer. And I won cases because I was a better storyteller than the other lawyer, and I lost cases because that lawyer was better than I was about telling a story. You have the same set of facts, both sides have the same set of facts. You have to tell your story in a way that best represents your client.
So if you want to be a great novelist, go to law school?
Go to law school, absolutely. But I'm not saying that the 1.5 million lawyers could be great writers, but some of us can be.
But that's what I thought was so good about your story, David, that you, as a lawyer, you both have the same things, and you each have to tell a different version of the exact same set of facts.
Yeah.
And it often boils down to who tells a better story. In your case, you've done it very well.
I try. It's the only thing I do remotely well. So
tell us who Robbie is, this central character of The Innocent.
He is like a premier hitman. He's an assassin for the government, and he goes around the world taking out people that need to be taken out. And he has one job he's tasked to do in D.C. where he does not pull the trigger. He does the unthinkable. He doesn't follow through on the job. Somebody else does, and the people are killed, and then he has to go on the run. And that's complicated enough, but he runs headlong into a teenage girl named Julie Getty, and she's also on the run. And what was interesting for me in this story was that my predator, my killer, whose sole job is to take other people's lives, had to, in this book, transform into a guardian angel. And it was a role that was difficult for him, and one that I don't think he was really up to in the beginning of the book, but he grew into it. I love characters that transform over the course of a novel.
So where do you go for research on government-hired hitmen?
Yeah, well, there's a little club in D.C. We have a few drinks. We talk shop.
No, but the thing about Will Roby that was so interesting, in the book, by page 7, he had already killed 5 people. Right. He'd killed 5 people by page 7 and really went to bed that night, went out to dinner, and really felt really good about it.
You have to be emotionless, I think. And, I went down to Fort Benning for a book I did last year, 0 Day, and trained with some of the Rangers down there. And when your job is to take other people's lives, you have to sort of approach it as a professional and be emotionless about it, pull the trigger, and forget forget about it, move on to the next job. And you think that sounds really draconian, but if that's your job and what you've been trained to do, you can do it. Human beings can accomplish that sort of high level of professionalism. And that's what Will Roby is. It doesn't leave him a full individual. Throughout the course of this book, I tried to take him from this into something better.
But Charlie raised a good point about your research, because the skinny on you, David Baldacci, is that you do the research yourself. You could have other people do it, but you really get in there and do the nitty and the gritty when it comes to the research.
Yeah, you know, I've been on walk-alongs with police officers in D.C., running down alleyways with huge dogs chasing us, and I'm looking at the cop going, what do we do? And run faster, that's what we do. And I jumped out of a parachute tower at Fort Benning, and the paratroopers on the ground had bets that I would not jump. But I did, and I jumped, and as I'm flying down on the zip line, the soldiers at the bottom are screaming at me to lift my feet because I'm heading right for this big dirt berm, and I lift my feet and clear that. But the thing is, you got to get up behind your desk. You have to go out and talk to people and see how they do their job to build a story that's authentic and real. And you can't Wikipedia this stuff. You just have to try to live it as much as you can.
Just one last point here. This notion of back to the Secret Service and absolute power about the Secret Service, you're suggesting that this incident may be, in a sense, a blessing in disguise because it will cause a clearing out and a clearing house at the Secret Service.
If this was a systemic problem, then I think that it's a good thing that nothing really, really bad happened, that the president's security was not compromised, and maybe this is an opportunity with the Secret Service to get it right.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Nice to have you.
Good to see you.
The Innocent will be available in bookstores and online tomorrow.